Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay, good. Okay, Zainab, you can unmute yourself and speak. What happened? Your mic is not working today?
Ma'am, it is. I didn't want to disturb the class. That's it.
You didn't want it to?
Disturb the class. That's it.
No, everyone can speak. It's not that you can't speak. It's no disturbance, nothing. Okay, whoever wants to speak can speak. Okay. So you have your test.
Yes, ma'am. Unit test.
Okay. Unit test. Okay. What chapters are coming?
The first chapter, second, and plant kingdom, the half or full rated decides still.
Okay. Okay. All right. So the first chapter is done. The second chapter is almost about to be done. And then talking about the plant kingdom, I'll organize extra classes if the thing cannot be completed before your exam. But it is on 12th May.
Yeah, ma'am.
Just 1 second. I'll just write it down so that I don't forget about it. Anyone else has like exams or unit tests coming up? No one? Okay, no problem. All right. Okay, so we had discussed in the previous class about the kingdom fungi. Now, moving forward, we'll talk about the mode of nutrition. Okay, now everyone switch on your video. Again, I'll not say it in every class. Come on, switch on your videos. Only one student does. Religiously, she does it. No one else does. Okay. So now we'll talk about the mode of nutrition. Now the mode of nutrition in the case of the kingdom fungi, it is saprophytic, parasitic and also symbiotic. Three types of modes of nutrition. Now if you like club these three types, that is saprophytic, parasitic and symbiotic together, which kind of nutritions do fungi have? Altogether this type of nutrition is known as? It starts with an H.
Holozoic.
No, holozoic is for humans. It starts, another word is there that starts with an H. That is the mode of nutrition that the fungi has. Does everyone know heterotrophic mode of nutrition?
Yes,
Right?
ma'am.
So this heterotrophic mode of nutrition is there for fungi. Now, no one will write anything right now. First, you'll listen and then I'll give you time to note down. Now, talking about saprophytic, saprophytic is when the organism moves along the dead and decaying stuff or organic matter and procures the nutrition from it. Secondly, there is parasitic mode of nutrition wherein the organism, like one is the parasite, one is the host. Now, the parasite infects the host. Either the parasite can be on the body of the host and we'll call it as ectoparasite. This parasitic can be ectoparasite. And if the parasite is present inside the body of the host, we'll call it as endoparasite. So two
So,
types of parasite. Yes. Yeah. So two types of parasitic mode of nutrition are there. That is ectoparasite and endoparasite. This depends upon where the parasite is present, whether it is present on the body of the host or whether it is present in the body of the host. Now, the third type of nutrition which is there is the symbiotic nutrition. Now, symbiotic nutrition is when the organism is in a mutualistic relationship, meaning for example, the fungus is in a relationship with another organism to maintain and sustain the life. Symbiotic relationship of fungus is of two types, lichen and mycorrhiza. Talking about the lichen. Now, lichen is the symbiotic association of a fungus and an algae. When a fungus and an algae live in a mutualistic relationship, that is a lichen. That symbiotic association is known as lichen. Then there is mycorrhiza. This is the symbiotic association of a fungus along with the roots of the higher plants. So these two, and you must remember which association is the lichen for and which is the mycorrhiza. Clear? Any doubts up until now?
No, ma'am.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Now, talking about the reproduction in the case of fungi, it is of three types: vegetative, asexual, and sexual. Now, vegetative, everyone knows that vegetative reproduction is the one that happens from the body of the organism, right? Are gametes involved in vegetative reproduction? No, not at all. Very good. So vegetative propagation or vegetative reproduction occurs or happens in three ways: fragmentation, budding, and fission. Now, when we talk about fragmentation, so this kind of vegetative reproduction is when if you break the fungus body into fragments, each of those fragments will develop into the new fungus. That is fragmentation. Talking about budding, now see, bud is an outgrowth. Okay, this outgrowth is present on the body, and so for example, if this is the cell of the fungus, now a bud arises like this, and this bud develops for a while attached to this cell, and then it will give rise to a new cell. So that is budding. Now talking about the next, that is fission. Now fission is the kind of vegetative reproduction in which one cell divides into two cells. First, the nucleus will divide and then the cytoplasm. Right. So that is fission. Everyone remembers binary fission that happens in bacteria, right? Same thing, fission happens in the case of fungus as well. Now talking about asexual reproduction. Now asexual reproduction in their case happens with the help of spores. Okay, they use spores for reproduction. These spores are asexual spores. Now, the first type of spore is conidia. Now see, spores can be of two types depending upon whether they are formed on the body or in the body. If the spores are formed inside the fruiting body, they are known as endospore. And if they are formed outside, then that is exospore. So spore can be of two types. Clear? Any doubts up until now?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
No, ma'am.
Now talking about the first type of asexual spore, the example is conidia. Conidia is an exospore, meaning it is produced externally. Then the second is sporangiospores. These are produced internally, meaning they are endospores. And the third asexual spore is zoospores that are also produced endogenously. Any doubts up until now?
No,
Okay.
ma'am.
Now moving on to the sexual reproduction. So in sexual reproduction, sexual spores are used. Just like how in asexual reproduction, asexual spores were used. Now the sexual spores are produced in the fruiting bodies. These are the special structures that produces the spore. Some sexual spores are oospores, basidiospores, and ascospores. Now, sexual cycle takes place in three steps for fungus. First of all, plasmogamy happens. Remember that the word gamy means fusion. Okay, the word gamy in general means fusion. So, plasmogamy, when the plasma or the cytoplasm is getting fused, then that is plasmogamy. So, first, during the sexual cycle, the cytoplasm or the protoplasm will fuse and we'll call it as plasmogamy. After that, the nucleus will fuse. Now, karyogamy, the word karyo stands for nucleus and gamy is the fusion. So, karyogamy is the fusion of two nuclei. Then, after that, when the nuclei fuse, a zygote is formed, and the meiosis in the zygote. Everyone knows what meiosis is. It is a kind of reductional division. Okay, it is a kind of division, and that happens in the zygote. So these are the three steps that happens in the sexual cycle of the fungus. Now these can be asked in the MCQs as well as they can be asked in the short answer question. Like what are the three steps that take place? So you must write it in this serial order. Plasmogamy first, karyogamy second, and thirdly there is the meiosis of the zygote. The zygotic meiosis also is the same thing. Any doubts up until now?
No, ma'am.
You understand what protoplasm and cytoplasm is?
Yes.
All right, very good. Now moving forward, we'll talk about let's see. During the process of sexual reproduction, two haploid hyphae, that is N. Haploid means what? Can you someone explain me what is haploid and what is diploid?
Diploid is like they'll have only one DNA, and haploid where they'll have two DNAs.
Not actually DNA, but you can say two sets of chromosomes when they have, then that is diploid. And when the organism has only one set of chromosomes, then that is haploid. Okay. Now, so during the process of sexual reproduction, two haploid, I'll write it here, one set of chromosomes. So two haploid hyphae of compatible mating type come together and fuse. Meaning two haploid nuclei will fuse, and when N plus N happens, it gives rise to 2N, that is a diploid condition. So this diploid zygote will be formed. Now, but sometimes in the case of the classes, just like how there is algae, bryophytes and everything in plants, same way under the kingdom fungi also there are certain groups such as ascomycetes, basidiomycetes. We'll study each of them separately. But normal case scenario, two haploid hyphae will come together and fuse and form a diploid structure. That is what is supposed to happen. But sometimes in ascomycetes and basidiomycetes, a stage comes when there are two nuclei per cell. Meaning, once, for example, if this is one nuclei that is for N, and it fuses with another nuclei that is N. So ultimately, there will be one nuclei only, but it will be 2N. Okay? But in this case, two nuclei per cell will be present. One cell will have two nucleus together. And this phase is known as dikaryophase of fungus. Di means two, karyo means nucleus, phase means stage. So a stage wherein two nuclei are present in the fungus is known as dikaryophase. Then what happens? After that, these two nuclei, they fuse and become a diploid situation. But for a while, this dikaryophase exists in the ascomycetes and basidiomycetes. This dikaryophase thing is clear to everyone? Any doubts?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, the fungi is divided into 4 classes according to the morphology of mycelium, the mode of spore formation, and the fruiting bodies. You remember when we were talking about the different types of classification, we based it upon some characters like locomotion, reproduction, morphology, anatomy, right? We took some characters and then we classified it. Same way, when we'll classify the fungi, we'll also take some characters. And these are the 3 main characters. Morphology of mycelium, mode of spore formation, and the fruiting bodies. Any doubts up until now? So with that being said, the fungi are divided into these classes. The first class is Phycomycetes, then there is Ascomycetes, then there is Basidiomycetes, and lastly Deuteromycetes. Now we'll talk about each of them one by one. Okay, FICO, ASCO, Basidio, Deuter. Clear? Any doubts up until now? Okay. Now you people can note down till here, then we'll move forward. Also, wherever you see diagrams, you can draw it so that it will help you only. Was anything left before to note down?
No, ma'am.
Okay. You can switch off your videos and write comfortably.
Ma'am, what does symbiotic association mean?
Yes, what was the question?
What
Symbiotic
does...
association.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, symbiotic association means, for example, one organism is there, it is like present with another organism, and both of them are benefiting by each other. Like this organism provides something to this, and this organism provides something to this. For example, if we are talking about this thing, the fungi and the roots of higher plants. Now, the fungi makes the nutrients available to the roots of higher plants, and the roots of higher plants give the shelter to fungi. So, both of them are benefiting each other, isn't it? Helping each other. So, this kind of relationship wherein both of the partners, they derive benefits from each other, that is symbiotic association. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Everyone's done?
No.
Okay. Okay.
And Ma'am, can you scroll down?
Yes, everyone's done? Hmm.
It's my
Last line.
Okay.
Done, ma'am.
Everyone's done?
No, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay.
Done, ma'am.
Done, ma'am.
Everyone's done?
Yes, ma'am.
Done, ma'am.
Everyone's done?
Yes, ma'am.
Done, ma'am.
Okay, good. Now moving forward, we'll talk about each of the classes that are there. So the first class is Phycomycetes. Now, Phycomycetes is commonly known as algal fungi. Okay, it is known as algal fungi. Now, the habitat is aquatic, meaning that it is found in the water body. It is present on moist, decaying wood also, in damp places. And the Phycomycetes members are obligate parasites. Obligate parasite means they are strictly parasitic in nature. See, there are two things. There is obligate and then there is facultative. Okay, now see, if I say obligate parasite, obligate means strictly. So if I say obligatory or obligate parasite, it means that they are strictly parasitic. They do not have any other mode of nutrition. But if I say they are facultative parasitic, means that they can do the parasitic mode of nutrition when the normal food is not available. Facultative is a choice. Obligatory means a strict condition. Clear? Now, the mycelium of the Phycomycetes is aseptate and phenocytic. Aseptate means they do not have septa, which is the wall. Cross walls are not present. They just have one whole entire mycelium which has multi-nuclease present in it, and that is phenocytic condition. It would have been septate if the condition would have been like this. The cross walls would be present, then we'll call this as septate. But since they do not have the walls present, so we'll call them as aseptate and phenocytic. Now talking about the reproduction, so asexual reproduction happens by zoospores that are motile, meaning they can move, and the asexual reproduction can also happen with the help of aplanospores that are non-motile. Both of these spores, that is zoospore and aplanospore, both of them are what? They are endogenously made spores, meaning they are formed inside the body, not outside. Talking about the sexual reproduction, it takes place by the formation of zygospores. Zygospores are the sexual spores of class Phycomycetes. Now, this zygospore is formed by the fusion of two gametes. When two gametes fuse, then a zygospore is formed. Now, talking about the fusion of gametes, it can be, or you can say the different types of gametes. Let's just say it can be isogamous, anisogamous, and oogamous. Now, iso means same. So when the gametes are exactly copies of each other, they look the same, they have the same structure, we'll call that as isogamous condition. When the gametes are not same, meaning one is smaller in size, one is bigger, so aniso means different. So when different types of gametes are present, we'll call it as anisogamy. And then there is oogamy, wherein one motile gamete is there and one non-motile egg is there. This is oogamous condition. Any doubts? These gametes and the conditions are clear to you people?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
good.
ma'am.
Now talking about the examples of Phycomycetes, there is mucor, rhizopus and albugo. Now, rhizopus is commonly known as bread mold. This is the fungus that is present on the bread that has been stained. And albugo is a parasitic fungi and it is a parasite on the mustard plant. Albugo. So MUCOR, mucor, rhizopus, and albugo, these are the examples of phycomycetes. Now, as far as phycomycetes goes, the points that you must remember are, first of all, what are the kinds of asexual spores formed? What are the kind of sexual spores formed? Whether it is aseptate or septate, whether it is cenocytic or not. These are the important things. Clear? Always remember that most members of the Phycomycetes class, they are obligate parasites, meaning they do not have any other method of nutrition. They can get their food by parasitic nutrition only. Is it clear? Any doubt?
No, ma'am.
All right. Now we'll talk about the next class, that is Ascomycetes. Now, ascomycetes, they are commonly known as sac fungi. Just like how phycomycetes were algal fungi, now they are sac fungi. All members of ascomycetes are multicellular except for one, that is yeast, which is unicellular. The mode of nutrition for ascomycetes, it can be saprophytic, decomposer, parasitic, and coprophilous. Coprophilous means the ones that grow on cow dung. Those are coprophilous. So these are the various kinds of modes of nutrition that are found in the class Ascomycetes. They are known as sac fungi. Now in them, the mycelium is branched and septate. Now see, in the previous condition, we saw the aseptate branch or aseptate mycelium, wherein this mycelium did not have any cross wall. But now if you see here, each of the nucleus is surrounded by the wall, isn't it? And this type of mycelium is known as septate mycelium and it is branched. Now in the Ascomycetes, the asexual spores is conidia. It is exogenously produced, meaning it is produced externally and it is produced on conidiophores. Conidiophores are those structures that would give rise to conidia. Moving forward, when each conidia germinates, a new mycelium is made. Sexual spores. Now, sexual spores are the ascospores. Now, ascospores are produced within ascocarp. Ascocarp is the name of the fruiting body. And as I told you, in fungus, the fruiting body is responsible for making this thing, the spores inside. Okay, the fruiting bodies give rise to the spore. Now, ascocarp is a sac-like structure and it gives rise to ascospores. So now you see that the ascocarp, which is the fruiting body, it looks like a sac, isn't it? Because of this only, the ascomycetes are known as sac fungi. Sac means a bag, isn't it? Any doubts?
No, ma'am.
They are
Okay.
present inside the sac. The fungus are present inside the sac.
Not the fungus, the spores of the fungus. When these spores will germinate, then a new fungus will be formed. But inside this sac, ascospores, that are sexual spores of ascomycetes, those are there. Okay.
Yes.
Now we have the examples of ascomycetes. There is claviceps, neurospora, morels, and truffles. Out of these four, the ending two, that is morels and truffles, these are the edible fungi. Also talking about the neurospora, so most commonly it is known as the Drosophila of the plant kingdom. See, Drosophila is an insect. Okay, it belongs to animal kingdom. And this insect is used for many scientific and research studies for zoology. Okay. And since in the case of fungi, neurospora is used for studying. That is why neurospora is known as the Drosophila of plant kingdom. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Any doubts up until now?
No, ma'am.
Now moving on, there is the third class, that is Basidiomycetes. Now they are commonly known as club fungi. Their hypha mycelium is branched and septate. Common known forms are mushrooms and puffballs. So the mushrooms belong to Basidiomycetes. Now their habitat, they can be found in the soil, on the tree logs, under the tree like the tree stumps, and even as parasites. So these are the various habitats in which you can find the Basidiomycetes. Now they are mostly the parasites of plants. They are parasitic to the plants. It causes diseases in the case of plants. For example, the parasitic Basidiomycetes causes the rust and the smut. Rust of any plant and the smut of any plant are the two types of diseases in the plants. Okay, these are the two kinds of diseases. Now, asexual spores are absent in Basidiomycetes. There are no asexual spores. The vegetative propagation happens by fragmentation. Okay, fragmentation. The sexual spores, they are known as basidiospores, and they are produced exogenously, meaning they are produced externally, and it is produced on a structure which is known as basidia or basidium. The basidia are arranged in fruiting bodies called as basidiocarp. Just like how Ascomycetes, their fruiting body was named as ascocarp, so the fruiting body of Basidiomycetes is known as basidiocarp. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Now talking about the examples. So the examples of Basidiomycetes, the mushroom that people eat, it is known as Agaricus campestris. This is the scientific name of mushroom. Now the smut causing fungus is Ustilago, and the rust causing fungus is Puccinia. These are the names of the fungus that cause rust and smut. Now, looking at how the smut looks like, see. This is the normal wheat plant, right? Do you see how healthy and perfect it is? Now, when it gets infected with the Ustilago fungus, see how degrade it gets. Now, it becomes mostly just very, you can say, the good grains of wheat are destroyed. So this disease is called as smut of wheat, and it is also smut of rye, and it is caused by Ustilago. Now, in this part, we are showing the rust of wheat. Now, if you look here, do you see like this is a normal leaf and this is a rust leaf? Do you see how tiny rust zang lag jata hai? Jaise rust is there, that rust kind of thing is there on the leaf. So this is rust of wheat. This is what the disease that are caused by the Basidiomycetes. And rust is caused by the Puccinia, and smut is caused by the Ustilago. Any doubts?
No, ma'am.
Lastly, there is the last class of fungus, that is Deuteromycetes. They are also known as fungi imperfecti or imperfect fungi. This is like, this group is the most easiest one. Why? Because see, they are known as imperfect fungi because only asexual and vegetative reproduction are known in them. There is no sexual reproduction. That is why they are known as imperfect fungi. The hyphae in them is branched and septate. Asexual spores are conidia. The mode of nutrition, some members are saprophytic, some are parasitic. Maximum number of them are decomposers of litter and help in the mineral cycling. So maximum number of Deuteromycetes are decomposers. Talking about the examples, there is Alternaria, Coletotrichum and Trichoderm. These are the examples of Deuteromycetes. This is the smallest class of the kingdom fungi. And in this, you can see why is it imperfect? Because there is no sexual reproduction in them. It has not been found. They only have asexual and vegetative reproduction. Any doubts up until now? Are you people tired? Because your faces look like that. You're like, how much more is left? Are you tired?
No, ma'am.
The chapter seems boring or interesting. You can say boring if you find it boring. Is it boring or is it interesting?
Interesting.
Interesting, but it's vast, man.
Interesting, but it's
Vast. It's like very big.
yeah, it's very vast. Yes, it is. It has a lot of depth. Everyone is finding it interesting.
Yes, ma'am.
I to find it very boring. Very boring and it's very lengthy also. But yeah, remember one thing. The important
Oh,
things that you must note here. Who said no? Someone said
no, I
no?
said yes.
Oh, you said yes. You find it boring or interesting? Hashit?
Uh, boring.
Boring. Okay. Anyway, whether it is boring or not, you people have to study it. So we can't do anything about it. Even if it is boring, it's better that you make it interesting only. Now see, the thing, yeah, the thing that I was,
Ma'am, when spores germinate to hyphae, there is a condition called dikaryon, right? So is it a permanent one or a temporary one?
it is a temporary condition. It only happens in ascomycetes and basidiomycetes, wherein temporarily one cell will have two nuclei. This is not a normal case. Normally, one cell is supposed to have one nucleus. But for this, two haploid nuclei are present. Later on, both of them fuse and become a diploid cell. Clear?
When we say like one end would be a positive one and one end would be a negative one, is it like that?
No. Not negative, positive. It's just two haploid structures. Right now, since this is about the fusion, and you know that one is the male gamete and one is the female gamete in general while fusion. But here we are just talking about the hyphae. Now, hyphae cannot be a male or female, right? Hyphae is a body structure. So, body structures can't be male or female. That is why we are talking in terms of their ploidy level. Ploidy level is of two types, haploidy and diploid. Okay.
Yes.
Any more doubts, students? Anything that comes to your mind? Okay. Now see, one more thing. No matter where and which class we are discussing, you must remember the examples and to which it belongs. You know, many a times in questions, they can ask you with examples only. Like, for example, they'll say that the characteristics of alternaria are, now they'll give four characteristics. For example, one of them they have given no sexual reproduction. So first you should know that alternaria belongs to deuteromycetes, and then you can understand that okay, what will be its characteristics and what will not be its characteristics. So pay very close attention to the examples of each and every class of fungus. Okay. So all the classes are clear to you people?
Yes,
Oh,
ma'am.
very good. Now you can note it down. The difference between obligate and facultative is also clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Now you people can note down.
Ma'am, can you zoom in a bit?
Is it fine now?
Yes, ma'am. Done, ma'am.
Everyone's done?
No,
Done,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay.
Um, Ma'am, what is below zoospores?
Exospore or endospore? Exospores are the ones that are formed externally, and endospores,
Under asexual reproduction, zoospores are there, right? What is below that? Can you spell it?
zoospore,
No, ma'am,
Zospore.
below that.
Oh,
Below that.
aplanospore. Aplanospores. Aplanospores.
Done, ma'am.
Everyone's done?
No, ma'am.
Yes.
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Done, ma'am.
Done, ma'am.
Everyone's done?
Done, ma'am.
Done, ma'am.
Done, ma'am.
Can you scroll up a bit?
Done, ma'am.
Done, ma'am.
Done, ma'am.
Done.
Everyone's done?
Yes. Yes. Done, ma'am.
Done, ma'am.
Everyone's done?
No, ma'am.
We'll keep it till here only. In the next class, you can copy more. Okay. Also, do you people have any doubts up until now?
No, ma'am.
Everything is clear, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh. All right. So let's just keep it till here only for today. In the next class, I'll give you time to note down, and we'll continue. Okay. We are done with the kingdom fungi. We have completed it fully, and now we'll move on to the organisms that are not exactly organisms, and they have not been given a group of their own. So we'll talk about them in the next class. Okay. Until then, you people revise your notes, see, revise the the examples and everything that are there. And in the next class, we'll continue. Is it clear?
And what about plant kingdom and animal kingdom?
See, plant kingdom and animal kingdom, which is there in biology.